This very small, very inexpensive piece of gear is the first step to quitting the day job you hate and making the sort of images you can build a career out of. Let me explain. Anyone can take a great picture in great lighting, and anyone with a camera can get lucky every now and then. But the difference between an amateur and a pro is that a pro can rig the game. It's not a fair fight. Professionals can engineer great lighting wherever, whenever. And the best kept secret in photography is that it's not even expensive or hard to learn. In fact, most professional work I've done as a photographer has been using a small, inexpensive flash just like this one. And it costs around $65 US. It absolutely rips. I'll talk a little bit more about this particular model later in the video. So you can take a flash that looks like this, that's built to sit on top of the hot shoe on your camera, and using something like this, have the ability to fire it off wirelessly anywhere within like 200 meters. This opens up endless options for you. You can control the direction and the power of your light. You can control the color of your light. You can even control the size and the shape of your light. Most of the time, but not always, we're taking this relatively small light source and making it bigger. This does a few things. Firstly, by spreading out the light, we're doing something called diffusing it. Diffusion refers to the consistency of the light. We take a light source and we spread it out to make it more even. This reduces the harshness of the quality of our light. You'll get a more consistent look with no bright hotspots in your image. Generally speaking, this is more pleasing to the eye. Secondly, a bigger light source is known as a softer light source. Softness refers to the relative size of a light compared to your subject. For example, the sun is technically the biggest light source we have, but in relation to us, it's just a tiny little speck in the sky. So relatively speaking, it's not necessarily a soft light source. In fact, on a bright sunny day, it's the opposite. But on an overcast day, the light from the sun is spread out over a very large area by the clouds, and as such, it becomes a large, soft, and diffused light source. So why is this important to you and your career? Truthfully, most of the time as a photographer, you don't have access to perfect natural light. So learning how light works and learning how to create your own beautiful light from scratch and take it with you anywhere completely changes the game. And I mean anywhere. You don't need to run cables. You don't even need access to power at all. For around $60 US each, you could buy a handful of these and literally have an entire studio worth of lighting in your pocket. And the best thing is, non-photographers and even amateur photographers don't see or understand any of this. By learning how to use small flashes, you have the ability to make pictures completely out of reach of the average person. I would go as far as to say you can make better pictures than 99.9% of the entire world. I moved out of home, I bought a house, and I financially support my young family now, all with money made from my photography. And I can trace it all back to learning how to use a small flash just like this. So why this flash in particular? Firstly, the price point is amazing. This thing is built beautifully. It's as good construction-wise as any of the major brand flashes. It has all of the features you need without any of the unnecessary features that you often pay for in a more expensive flash. TTL, for example, is something that I have never ever used for off-camera flash. It has optical slave modes too, and without going into that too deeply, it basically is a sensor built into the flash, which means it can detect when another flash is going off and fire at the same time. This is great if you don't have triggers for all your lights, or perhaps you leave one at home or you run out of batteries. So long as one flash is going off in your setup and it's within visual sight, this one will fire too. Another very overlooked aspect of this particular model is it takes AA batteries. A lot of the more expensive flashes now will take specific lithium batteries made for that particular model of flash. That means if you switch to a different model, or if you have multiple different flashes in your setup that will all take different batteries, you're limited to buying them direct from the manufacturer that makes them. And in a couple of years, if they upgrade that model, you might be stuck without batteries for your flash. I don't know about you, but there's also something very comforting to me in the fact that I know that wherever I am in the world, I can, in a pinch, I can stop into a convenience store and get myself a set of AA batteries. And essentially my whole lighting system, basically you can have a studio in your pocket that is completely powered by AA batteries. That is just fantastic. I've got links below to the best mix between quality and price for AA batteries. Not all rechargeables are made equal, and I've tested a lot in my time. The ones that I use in particular will recharge up to 1,000 times. They will recycle your flash faster, and if you leave them sitting in your bag for a year, they will hold up to 80% of their charge. In this video, I've been using something called a Pocket Wizard as my flash trigger. This is basically a device that you plug into your flash that will talk to your camera and sync your shutter with your lighting. You click the shutter and then wirelessly your flash will fire at just the right time to light your image. It's brilliant and it all happens at the speed of light. Pocket Wizards are great and they are brand agnostic, which means you can use them with pretty much any brand of camera and flash. They're the industry standard. Having said that, they are expensive and the more lights you get, the more Pocket Wizards you'll need. Which finally brings me to my absolute favorite feature about this particular model of flash. All of the modern Godox flash gear has wireless built right into it, right down to the very cheapest flash that they offer. That means this unit will work flawlessly and wirelessly with all the other accessories in the Godox range. All you have to do is pair it with a trigger like this. That means you can ditch the Pocket Wizard. And the best thing is it also syncs to all the other flashes I own. I have the AD200s, the bigger AD600 Pros, and I can actually change the settings and control the flashes from right here on the back of my camera. I don't even have to get up and walk around to do that. And as your collection grows, you can add more and bigger lights to your setup without ever having to add more Pocket Wizards. And you can change settings and control all of those wirelessly too. Just another reason why I think this flash is an amazing buy. Once you're in the Godox system, you can, in theory, add an infinite amount of flashes without ever having to buy another trigger. If you want to check out the trigger that I use, it can be a little bit confusing because you need to buy the right one for your specific brand of camera. I've left links in the description to all of the major manufacturers, as well as links to anything else I've mentioned so far in the video. So if you're ready to take the next steps in your lighting and your photography, grab one of these bad boys, you won't regret it. Click the video on screen now, and I'll see you in the next one.